you is for you. I give you the praise and the glory. You came and you walk in the flesh, an example of love. It is a story. Your words jump at me like a picture. So perfect you are in the scriptures. Your words, they don't change and they don't go void. You are the truth you deliver. Most high, I honor you. You are my Elohim. You're the creator of everything. There are no others beside you, and they know that's a fact. You are the redeemer, and they know you coming back. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. You gave me my eyes to see, I just cannot express to thee just how much you mean to me. How close I was lost to the sea. I will never go at it alone, cause you are my force and you are my defender. I have to protect all my members, cause I gotta be in that number. Most high, I honor you. You are my Elohim. You're the creator of everything. There are no others beside you, and they know that's a fact. You are the redeemer, and they know you coming back. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Praises to our Elohim, 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 praises to our Elohim. Most high, I honor you. You are my Elohim. You're the creator of everything. There are no others beside you, and they know that's a fact. You are the redeemer, and they know you coming back. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Praises to our Elohim, 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 praises to our Elohim.
Kingdom music, baby. Clip full of hallelujahs. What's your name? Check it out. Used to be different, homie. It used to be why the things I bumped to polluted my mind. Now I'm trying to get in the word of God. What brings the substance to realness is the message of Christ, homie, crucified for all of us. You hear me? Check it out. Marijuana had me addicted to cigarettes and lotto.
Truth is, you've been too good. You've been way too good. Truth is, you've been too good to me. I could not be who I am today without you, God. Without you, God. Help me to number my days. Truth is, I'm no good without you, God. Without you, God. Help me to number my days.
You wanna see me lose, I wanna see you win. You wanna see me fall, fam, I wanna see you stand. I wanna see you smile, you wanna see me cry. I wanna see you climb the highest heights and reach the sky. You wanna see me hungry, I wanna see you fed. I wanna see you live, why you wanna see me dead? I can't lie, my heart beat different than yours. There's no division, nothing hidden, man, this wisdom is pure. Hey, I got a table, everybody come sit with me. And God bless all my enemies, I know that you sick of me. When you don't know your identity, it's easy to spit at me. The same way they did Jesus, finding something to stick with me. With every drip of blood, though, it's an honor to bleed for you. I keep you close to Holy Ghost, my life feels so complete in you. There's no defeating you, there's no deceit in you. I hit my knees for you, Lord, all I need is you.
Truth is, you've been too good. You've been way too good. Truth is, you've Without you, God, help me to number my
And
days.
teach me how to number my days. And show me how to make sure it counts. Everybody gotta go to the grave. And I just pray on judgment day, the Lord your mercy is found. Been the corner, it's something tended. Hard to see you through the windows. Like God don't see the inside. When you try to hide what's simple. A simple-minded choices eventually destroy you. A lifestyle with a structure full of poison is informants. Don't report. I hear you bragging how you whipping up crack, boy. But Jesus took the lashes from a whip on the back. Yo, see, I apologize. Forgive me for these water eyes. I pray that I find mercy and forgiveness in my Father's eyes. I can't forgive my brother's homicide. Hardest thing to do is tell the homies I ain't want to slide. They looking at me like you weak if you ain't riding. It took everything inside me, man, to keep me from fighting. Cause when you speak about ride, you speak about pride. 6 years later, I can see your plan was greater than mine. Hey, everything changed when I called upon Jesus. Forgiveness was the key that I needed, baby. I needed yours.
Truth is, you've been too good. You've been way too good. Truth is, you've been too good to me. I could not be who I am today without you, God. Without you, God. Help me to number my days. Truth is, I'm no good without you, God. Without you, God. Help me to number my days.
And then we got the scepter again after he took it, or they passed it him. Who knows the reasoning? And this is again Pope Charles V, Roman Emperor, birth of the time frame in his Habsburg jaw. All right, typical lion fashion. This painting is called out to the Morning by the Dutchman Jules Van Cleef. All right, the scepter is European, the orb is European. No scepter, orb, and imperial crown of Austria.
Let's point out the fact that it's falsely called a Moorish motif when it's not.
Well, if you talk about skin, yeah, more, but if not, I mean, he's just Charles V. He's a Habsburg, and the Habsburgs come from Germany.
Yeah, I was just pointing out that as you was reading it, it said it was in the entitlement. If you go back down, you was reading it. It was saying that it was falsely called a Moorish motif. I guess it's trying to relate to the fact that he has nothing to do with the Moorish religion or the Moorish people as a religion. Just, just want to point that out. Just by color, Moorish by color, but that's about it. In relation to what you just read.
All right. So we got here Alessandro de' Medici, Duke of Peni and also Duke of Florence, ruler of Florence from 1530 to 1537. Yeah, moderately scared, meaning like obey anybody's hurt feelings, I guess anybody's hurt feelings and stuff. We're just showing historic images of books. The same person. Entrance to Palazzo Pucci, which is a historic building in Florence, Italy. It occupies almost a block between Ricasoli and serves and is organized in 3 nuclei corresponding to as many courtyards. So this is a common theme, especially in Germany, all these countries up there we never imagine. They are that. There's people that are all doing the whole, like, BLM is removed from there, right? They look weird. I mean, in our opinion, what they are. They try to take these images down straight, but what they're really trying to do is hide the history. Because once it comes down, you never remember. They're not only everything else, but the local people, they interview in the shadows about it. Like, that's nonsense. We honor them. Like, that's our history right here. That's our more reason. They don't care. They ain't doing it like that. So a lot of times there's an agenda behind all these things, not just about it's racist. All right. So this raises the memory of Jack Casanova, the Sigla, the Prince of Adventures. All right, from 1902. It says portrait of Casanova by Prince Eli. He would be very, so this is the actual Casanova, right? The character. He would be a very fine if he was not ugly. He is so built like Hercules, but with almost African complexion, meaning Persian. His eyes are right, beautiful, looking like intelligent, but indicating susceptibility and irrational ferocity. Alright, so this is what I have in Casanova, and just, alright. Maria. Alright, this is Holy Roman Empire, Maria of Austria, daughter of Charles V. Alright? Wife, Emperor Maximilian II. Joan, Archduchess of Austria, Infanta of Kassel and Aragon, Princess of Burgundy and Flanders. Alright, we got the rating early. It says portrait of a well-liked either Flemish or German, circa 1540, in a private collection of Antwerp. So what we're trying to say is it's not just generalized by one thing. A lot of people have their own little stories. So a lot of them are Flemish, even though you want to go Moors because of their skin. They're Flemish, German, or Dutch, or Dane, or they maybe Sephardic Jews or whatever. Different things we call different. They would tell you basically, okay, well, I'm Flemish, I'm German. Alright, and this right here is Vincenzo Scamo's Venetian architect, a writer or architect, acting in sense of Venus, alright? Venetian. Alright, and seen this image, a lot of people verified it, making sure that it was actually what it says it is. And it is actually a depiction of Lisbon, Portugal, from 1570. And if you know the story behind the paint, the guy who's actually, I believe, the king or the emperor at that time of Portugal. As says here, Wikipedia, the King's Fountain, is a 6th century painting by an anonymous Flemish painter that were pictured in front of the fountain in Lisbon, Portugal. Alright, so there's all kinds of people, there's different complexions, but you see a lot of people of color here, all over the place, as rich people, as peasants, as entertainers, whatever. Alright, here's just as close. Alright, some more right here. Alright, this is the king on his horse. It says again, the Chafarizé Alfama district view of the King Santa Lisbon could 70 close-up of a man who appears to be of Portugal. The king wears a cross, the Order of Santiago, which was founded in the Post and also the national patron of Galicia, Spain, St. James Greater, under whose banner Christians began to combat back the Moors and Muslims from the Iberian Peninsula. Alright? So he's wearing that same crest that drove away, what? Moors and Muslims, more and more war, like we're talking about melanated people, not just what we think of as more, but it's different factions of people fighting each other. Even before, so remember, we read right in the video, Benjamin Franklin, 51, let us know that was in his time. This is 57. Alright, so they're fighting each other. Alright, not just white people, what we think, what we would say. Alright. And this is, go ahead.
I was tripping off the picture, but when you look at it, you see more people of color in that picture than you do of white skin in that picture you just showed.
Yep.
So it's showing how, actually, like you just said, it shows actually how populated Europe was at one time with color, with melanated people.
Yeah, exactly. Alright. We're looking at it right now. We're going to read a couple things. Alright, we're relevant. Alright, this whole Trinity Middle of Saxony. I just want everybody to see it, but much into it. No, I can't do it I'm showing, but it basically, he has like dreadlocks. He has dreadlocks on his beard, his hair everywhere, dreadlocks. Alright, and it says, from ornate of the throne, the was sign, God the Father seated face, holds orb and scepter. Alright, who? God the Father with dreadlocks. Alright, that's what they're depicting here.
Wow.
This is from,
I've never seen this before.
The Holy Trinity Middle of Saxony, 51 AD.
Wow.
Alright, right here we got this brother with his hidden hand. That's all I'm gonna say. Alright, and this is unknown young man in Berlin that you don't want us to trace who he is. But he's open. Alright. We got this coin right here. That says Elector Saxony Maurice, 1541 to their number.
Yeah, I want to point out also a lot of times coins were actually minted with the family, with sometimes the family's crest on it, because a family a lot of times families of nobility, they have more than one family crest, so they would choose one sometime to mint as a coin
Yep. And rare, apparently authentic, nappy-head image of Holy Roman Emperor Ferdinand II. He was emperor 30 years before, since the albinos destroyed all other images, says the albinos. Alright, so again, Ferdinand, right? Ferdinand was the one in charge of Cologne, right? Again, Benjamin Franklin was that the Spaniards, Italians, Portuguese were swarthy.
And an example of what I was just pointing out right here, that's his family crest on the back of the coin right there. If you see the family crest, and you can see also more than one family crest.
Yeah, exactly. It says this is a portrait of a Dutch soldier. And we got a bit of a scribe circa 1500. So like not slave, like we're teaching the servant or the slave, but this sketch right here is Jan Vos, Dutch poet and playwright.
That brother looked like a player.
He's a poet, you know. He was doing that Romeo and Juliet thing outside the window. Juliet!
You already blew me back with the fact that I just found out, and I did not know that Casanova was a melanated brother. And they said, I'm going to go back and read that, because that blew my mind. And it describes him as a large, muscular brother. So, wow. That's some good information.
This coin is from...
Right, when people look here in Hebrews chapter 1, right, it says, long ago, at many times and in many ways, the Supreme spoke to our fathers by the prophets, but in these last days he spoke to us by his Son, whom he put in the air of all things, from whom he also made, he created. No, the word there is aion. The word there is ages, not cosmos, ages. But you see, when you have the liberty to do your translations, you can put the word world there. That's neither here nor there. Let's jump down. Watch this. Okay? It says, for which of the angels did the power ever say, you are my son, today I have begotten you, again I will be to him my father, and he shall be my son. And again, when he brings the firstborn into the world, he says, let all the powers worship him. Of the angels, he says, he makes his angels winds, his ministers flames of fires. But watch this. But of the Son, he says, your throne, O power, is forever and ever. The scepter of uprightness is the scepter of your kingdom. Now, that verse right there, what you see, where do you guys think that that's from? It's obviously not from the New Testament, original to the New Testament, because if it was, you would not have any quotations there. When you have a quotation, that means it's being repeated from another source, right? So let's go back and let's take a look to see what is that source that this is coming from, okay? So the source for that's coming from in Hebrews chapter 1, verse 8 is Psalm 45 and 6. So let's go to Psalm 45 and 6. And I'm going to read that verses 1 to verse 6. Let me bring it up on the screen. Right? Scroll up. It says, to the choir master, according to Lilies and Maskil of the sons of Korah, a love song. My heart overflows with a pleasing theme. I address my verses to the king. Wait, hold on. Wait, let's go back. Let's go back. To the choir master, according to Lilies, a Maskil of the sons of Korah, a love song. My heart overflows with a pleasing theme. I address my verses to the king. Okay. My tongue is like the pen of a ready scribe. You are the most handsome of the sons of men. Grace is poured upon your lips. Therefore, God has blessed you forever. Gird your sword on your thigh, O mighty one, in your splendor and majesty. This is talking about the king. In your majesty, ride out victoriously for the cause of truth and meekness and righteousness. Let your right hand teach you awesome deeds. Your arrows are sharp in the heart of the king's enemies. The peoples fall under you. Your throne, O God, is forever and ever. The scepter of your kingdom is the scepter of uprightness. You have loved righteousness and hated wickedness. Therefore, God, your God, has anointed you with the oil of gladness beyond your companions. Your robes are all framed with myrrh, aloes, and cassia from ivory palaces. String instruments make you glad. Daughters of kings are among your ladies of honor. In your right hand stands the queen in gold of Ophir. Your throne, O God. This is being addressed to the king. The king was considered a power because he is the fullness of the representation of the majesty and might of the patron deity of these people. So he is looked at as a deity, same way we see in other ancient Asian cultures, whether it's the Sumerian kings, the Babylonian kings, and this is why they have their myths to justify why the king is the representative of the powers, or the Elohim. Same thing in ancient Mizraim or Kemet or Egypt. The king himself, the Nisut Biti, he was considered also a god on the earth. This is ancient Eastern culture. So unless you understand Psalms, you're going to misinterpret what you find in the book of Hebrews. Yes, the king was considered a god. That's it. Nothing unique there in the Old Testament. I mean, the New Testament is coming from here. That's where it's coming from. All right. So hopefully that helped you, my brother Avaris, that you said that you didn't know that. But yes, that's it right there. The king was considered a god. It's very clear. And he says, your throne, O God, is forever and ever. Therefore, God, your God, has anointed you. Yes, he has anointed him. Now, the king that's referenced here, more than likely was King Dawid. And I went over the sonship with y'all before, where he was inducted into the sonship. Okay. All right. What's up, my brother? Hello?
What's up,
Juan,
man?
you there? What's going on, King?
I'm good.
Yeah, I can hear you. Are you here, O Yisrael? Is that you?
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. All right, so where you want to go next? What was the other one you talking about? You said Judges chapter 6?
Yeah, I think it was Judges chapter 6, and it was like the second book of Samuel.
Oh, it's not that long. Okay, Judges. Wow, what's going on? Judges 6. There we go. All right, Judges 6. All right, and what verse?
Let me see.
I've been over this before in the past, so I'm gonna explain. Okay, I'm gonna explain to you why his name was changed and why he has that name. All right, but before I explain that, just remember, up here, who is Gideon fighting? Who is he fighting? I have it highlighted.
You have it
on the
highlighted?
screen. Yeah, on the screen. You see it? Midian. Yeah. All right, he's fighting against Midian. Now, who was the one of the chief deities that was in Canaan at this time? Was Baal, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and the Midianites, they would have been, or the one that they were fighting against. Remember, Midian was not against Israel initially, right? Because Jethro was a Midianite, right?
I get that.
Yeah. So, but some of them that were in the land, they started to worship after Baal, right? So now, when it comes to people fighting, it's almost like political parties, right? When political parties clash, it's the Democrats versus the Republicans, right? And then you have an elephant that represents one party and a donkey that represents the other party, right?
Correct.
Right? So in the ancient times, the deities represented the peoples, and as the peoples fought, that would be symbolic of the deities also fighting against each other. So if Gideon is fighting against the Midianites, and these Midianites are serving Baal, and he overcomes them, then his name that he's changing, or the name that they give him, is going to be representative of an event that occurred in his livelihood that, I would guess, defines his character. And that's what we're going to see that happens, right? So Judges chapter 6. And remember, all of this is about Midianites putting the Israelites into not captivity, but overpowering them and, taking things from them, etc., right?
Correct.
So if we go down further, Gideon is called, right? It says, and the angel of Yehovah came under the terebinth at Ophrah, which belonged to Joash, the Abizarite, while his son Gideon was beating out wheat in the winepress to hide from the Midianites, right? Because the Midianites was taking their crops. And the angel of Yehovah appeared to him and said to him, Yehovah be with you, O mighty man of valor, right? And Gideon said to him, please, my Lord, if Yehovah is with us, why then has all this happened? And where are all the wonderful deeds that our fathers recounted to us, saying, did not Yehovah bring us about Egypt, but now Yah has forsaken us and given us into the hand of Midian? And Yehovah returned to him and says, go in this might of yours and save Israel from the hand of Midian, and do not I send you, right? And he says, and please, Adonai, how can I save Israel? Behold, now watch this. You see this word here for clans? That's the same word that's used for 1,000 when we're looking at Exodus chapter 12. The verse escapes me. I can't believe I forgot the verse, but where it comes to a numerical form, and it should really be translated as clans. Right, and I did a whole lecture on this, but that's something interesting to look at, right? But look at verse 16, and we're going to jump down further. And you'll hear why it says, but I will be with you, and you shall what? Strike the Midianites as one man, right? So then he goes, and he needs proof that this is going to be true. So he tests, this malach, this angel, or melech, this angel, right? And then all of this stuff is happening. Also, getting down further. Now watch this. Gideon destroys the altar of Baal. When the men of the town rose early in the morning, behold, the altar of Baal was broken down, and the Asherah beside it was cut down, and the second bull was offered on the altar that had been built. And the Asherah is a grove, is a tree grove, all right, or it was a pole that was made out of a tree grove, right? And they said one to another, who has done this thing? And after they have searched and inquired, they said, Gideon the son of Joash has done this thing. Then the men of the town said to Joash, bring out your son that he may die, but he has broken down the altar and cut down the Asherah beside it. Now look at this. What did he just do? He destroyed an altar to Baal. Correct?
Correct.
Now watch verse 31. Look at verse 31. But Joash said to all who stood against him, who will contend for Baal? Or will you save him? Whoever contends for him shall be put to death by morning. If he is a god, let him contend for himself, because his altar has been broken down. Now watch this, verse 32. Therefore, so before you get to the therefore, you gotta get the context, because the therefore is connected by a prerequisite context, which is the verses right above it. So the actions that took place is what's defining his name, because of an act that he has performed. This was something that was very common in the ancient Near East. If I go and I destroy the Asherah grove that people are worshiping, then my name can be renamed to something that demonstrates the act that I did, that I became known or renowned for. Therefore, in that day, Gideon was called Jerubbaal, right? That is to say, what? Let Baal contend against him. And it says, because he broke down the altar. It gives you the answer right there. You didn't even have to go in, right? So that's why his name was changed. That doesn't do with Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh being Baal, because if you're looking at this, you can say this is a theophoric name, right? Theophoric name is any name that has the deity's name or some kind of attribute or some kind of action. And the reason for it is because if you call that person's name, you're invoking an attribute of that deity, and then that attribute is there to exemplify that person's character, right? So Jerubbaal, which we see in this case, he was called that because of an act that he performed, which showed that he contended against who? Against Baal. Just like you see Israel, real quick, and I'll let you build. Jacob, his name was changed to what? Israel. Why? Because he contended.
He wrestled with God.
There you go.
Wrestled with God. I see. I read that far with Jerubbaal, but in Samuel 11, Second Samuel 11.
Let me bring it up.
21.
Samuel 11:21. All right, go ahead.
His name is not Jerubbaal anymore. It's Lesheth for short. I'm trying to figure out what happened, what transpired for his name to change. I know his name is Gideon.
Wait, so you read 2 Samuel chapter 11 and show me the context for Gideon.
You want me to show you the context for Gideon?
Yeah, because you said that this was Gideon's name, right?
Yes.
Jerubbaal, you said that's representing Gideon. So let's read it. Read it for me, the context, and show me where this is referring to Gideon.
Alright. I'm pulling it up. It's kind of slow on my laptop right now.
What you said?
So I'm pulling the verse.
Okay, yeah. You got it. I want to say shout out to my brother Seth in the building, Milka, Israel, what's going on? Zadik Komar, what's going on? Get with my brother James, DB, what's going on? And I see what you guys are saying, but me and my brother Vaughn, we're going to build for a little bit, but I want him to show me Gideon in these verses here.
Alright, so I'm trying to figure out how to show the screen because I'm working on two different screens. But right here I see in the footnotes, this is where I made the assumption. Because when I read the footnotes, it says, also known as Jerubbaal, this is Gideon. So that's where I got that from.
So it says, who killed Abimelech, right? Abi means my father, Melech is king, right? That's what that name means, right?
You read on your screen.
Verse 21, 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 21.
Okay, I see.
And it says the son of Jerubbaal, right? So this is the name Jerubbaal here. This is talking about who killed Abimelech, the son of Jerubbaal. So are we saying that the son of Gideon killed Abimelech? Or is just another name for another person that's similar to Gideon's name? This has nothing to do with Gideon here.
I mean, I can agree with that. There's something that has to be changed. His name is not Jerubbaal. This has to be a different person. But somebody brought this to me. And then when I went and looked at the footnotes of the same verse, I guess you can't really trust in the footnotes because...
Well, it depends, because Critical Edition Bible, they add footnotes based on... And the footnote can be several things. It can be, number one, a reference to a textual variant, which means there may be another manuscript that says something slightly different, so the footnote is showing you that. Two, it could be some kind of notation to bring awareness to something in a verse. Sometimes it could be variants in names or variants in places, right? That's again found in other manuscripts or maybe an archaeological site or something like that they added. But it's different from critical edition or critical edition, right? So if you're saying the footnote of which translation are you looking at?
I'm looking at the NIV.
Hey, come on that, King John Williams. I want to say shalom on that. I figured that you was going to be able to figure that out too, big bro. Man, you know, Divine Prospect, man, don't be playing nobody games, families. And families, man, if, you actually, man, do, classes, man, if you want to learn, like, you know, languages and stuff like that and the meanings behind the languages and stuff like that. And bro, man, you was absolutely right about that, bro. That's why I took us over there at my one brother, this brother right here. He gets deep into some history too, y'all.
You know, Christianity, melanated the first so-called Catholics, Christians, and saints, right? So, you know, you'll see that all over Italy to Germany.
Yeah, you took it off, but you still saying that at the exact same time, though.
And a lot of brothers
still saying at the exact same time.
First time, you know.
But we can really go to our class.
We got it right here.
The name of the
frescoes.
class is called Corruptible to Immortality. Restoration.
More support you know, in every way. In the religious images.
Let my brother
it's actually a depiction of this was found on the wall, and
they ain't gonna tell you a different story, y'all.
Right, when people look here in Hebrews chapter 1, right, it says, long ago, at many times and in many ways, the Supreme spoke to our fathers by the prophets, but in these last days, he spoke to us first. Sometimes it could be variants in names or variants in places, right? That's again found in other manuscripts or maybe an archaeological site or something like that they added. But it's different from critical edition or critical edition, right? So if you're saying the footnote of which translation are you looking at?
I'm looking at the NIV right now.
Okay, so now you're looking at the NIV. Let's see if we bring the NIV up, and let's see if we can get that footnote that you're looking at.
So the footnote I'm looking for is on Biblica.com.
Yeah, well, I have it here on the screen. You see the screen right here?
Yeah, you're reading on this. It's like the Blue Letter Bible.
Yeah. So it says, who killed Abimelech, son of Jerubbaal, and it says, footnote, also known as Jerubbaal, that is Gideon. All right, so what is the context of why they added that footnote? I'd have to look into it further, you know, because I have other Bibles that also make references to a name like this. But if we're going to talk about the actual context, this has nothing to do with Gideon. Now, it can say that the names could be interchangeable, right? But this is not Gideon himself, right? Yeah, so this is not Gideon himself. So remember, Gideon's name was changed because of an act of defiance that he's done against Baal, right? By desecrating the Baal altar and cutting it down, so much so that that act was like an act of treason, an act of war or whatever. So his name was changed to that, and he was known for that. That had nothing to do with Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh having anything to do with Baal. There's no connection there with that, right?
Yeah, I can agree with you on that. I understand that. I was just coming to you just for clarification, just for edification. And then when I seen that Jerubah out, I thought his name changed to Besheth. And I know Besheth means shame, Hebrew, I think. So I was trying.
Interesting. Hey, King John Williams, bro, man, you put in Hosea chapter 2, verse 16. Let's go there, bro. Let's go there, King. And it shall be at that day, said Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, Yahuwah, that thou shalt call me Ishah, and shall be no more beyond. Hey, all praises on that one. All praises. For I will take the names of the Baalims out of her mouth, and they shall no more be remembered by their name. Hey, verse 18 gonna be that dagger. And in the day I will make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field, and with the fowls of the heavens, and with the creeping things on the ground. I will break the bow and the sword and the battle out of the earth, and I will make them to lie down safely. And I will betroth thee unto me forever. Yea, I will betroth thee unto me in righteousness, and in judgment, and in loving kindness, and in mercies. I will even betroth thee unto me in faithfulness, and thou shalt know that I am Yahuwah. Hallelujah. John Williams, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. I love you on that one, bro. Hey, that was a powerful one. And bro, man, when you continue to read on down, bro, man, all praises, man. All praises. And it shall come to pass in that day. I will hear, said Yahuwah. I will hear the heavens, and they shall hear the earth, and the earth shall hear the corn, and the wine, and the oil, and they shall hear Jezreel. How you say Israel? I will sow her unto me in the earth, and I will have mercy upon her that had not obtained mercy. That's what we're supposed to be doing daily. It's asking Most High every day that you have to breathe is for mercy. And I will say to them, which were not my people, thou art my people, and they shall say, thou art my Elohim. Let's go, bro. Man, I mess with Divine Prospect a lot. Hey, Paul quotes verse 23. Yeah, hey, let's go. Hey, Paul, people really get Paul's writings, man, misconstrued, man, a lot, man. And Paul, everything that Paul said, man, was quoting from the prophets, man. Everything that Paul said, man. Everything. Paul was well equipped, man, with the Torah, y'all. The Tanakh, Old Testament, man, Paul was equipped in Torah families. The Tanakh, the Old Testament. But people be so quick to go to Paul and it be making them, they be sounding confused. They just be exegeting scriptures, bro. They just clearly exegete and tell a whole different story, man. Different characters. I mean, switching up people's history, man. You know, people just brutalizing the purpose, man. So it's crazy. Just be around those, man, that's actually going to give you that understanding, and the Most High Yah is going to give you the increase. But I miss my brother Divine Prospect, man. He actually opened up eyes To a lot of people, man, if you don't have understanding in some type of word, the literature of of certain words and stuff like that. So, man, y'all make sure y'all go check out my brother Divine Prospect, man. Me and my brother John Williams, we best believe, man, we know about Divine, man. Oh, Ron. We know about Divine, man. So he's not any average old Joe. You know what I'm saying? The brother been deep in Israel for quite some time, and families, man, that's one brother, man, that you would love to go up under and truly, man, get enlightened by. He's not going to switch up the story, y'all. All right, families. Now it's time for us to go to our class.
Of course, the Tanakh has always been there for a while, but the verse.
This class right here is powerful. I wanted to play Rebirth of a Nation, but families, man, I named the name of this title, families, off this class right here. Being from corruptible to immortality. Immortality, the restoration and inheritance, the blessings and the curses, y'all. Man, they figure to get deep into some information that a lot of this book that they're going to get into, man, that I know me and John Williams, I know for that me and him probably, man, done digged in some of the scriptures of missing books that most people don't like to get into. But over here, y'all, man, you know that we keep it straight Yasharah, y'all. You know, it's all about the nation of Israel, and families, man, it's all about building. In this time, you ain't got no time to be playing, and let's get in order. With that being said, I want to say that I love y'all. Class in session. Let's go.
That we have in our scriptures, I said King James, is some ESV, NIV, is from the Masoretic text. Okay, so that came about 1008 CE, or commonly called AD. And so there is some differences between that version and the version that they had during the first, second, third, fourth, fifth century. Okay, is everyone with me so far? All right, so I'll go over some more writings, and then after that, and your objective in some of this, I've already given it to you, but you might hear things that's already written in the canon that you can put together. You'll see those things as we go through this here. All right, so if the tools is up top, got it. All right, so of course the rules, everyone knows the rule. Please keep your mic muted except when asked or answering a question. Use the mic to speak. There's a feature in the room where you can raise your hand if you have any questions. We have people monitoring the hand raising. All questions must be on the topic. You have 60 seconds to ask or answer a question. If you pass your 60-second window, your mic will be muted for you. These rules are due to time in the recordings of the lessons. These are live teachings, so we must give the Maria enough time to complete the lesson. All right? So we're going to go right into it. Remember, we talked about last week the apocalypse of Abraham is roughly between 70 to 150 CE, commonly called AD. All right, so in this here, we're going to go over, you're going to see that what they believe the Messiah to come, what's happening with the Messiah, and what he's looking for and expecting, things like that. So it says, in the last days, in this 12th hour of the piety, in the 12th period of age of my fulfillment, I will set up this man from your tribe, the one whom you have seen from my people. All will imitate him. You consider him as called by me. They are changed in their counsels, and those you saw come out from the left side of the picture and worshiping him. This means that many of the Gentiles will trust him. Now, you know, this is a vision. So right now I'm giving you an interpretation, but if you want to read more, you can just go up and you're going to hear what vision he has. And majority of the writings we talk about are all visions that was given to the prophets and the writers. Okay? All right. 12 says, and those of your seed you saw on the right side, some insulting him, some beating him, and others worshiping him, and many of them shall be offended because of him. Okay, so I just put it in Matthew 26:31, where it says, then said Yahushua of them, all you shall be offended because of me this night. For it is written, I will smite the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock shall be scattered abroad. Okay, It says, it is he who will test those of your seed who have worshipped him in the fulfillment of the 12th hour and the telling of the age of impiety. So again, this is a vision that he's talking about, and we see that now, all these different levels, people are going to be offended by him, don't believe in who he is. Yeah, on the other side, those that do believe in him. You're going to see a lot of Gentiles or nations commonly called heathens in that translation that are going to be seeking after him as well. So a lot of people are going to be seeking after the Mashiach at the end time, in these last days. So keep that part in mind, and you're going to see later on. I might point it out, I'm not sure, unless you guys point it out first. There's going to be multiple gatherings. Not everyone's going to be gathered at the same time. Okay? So a lot of us think it's one gathering, we're done. Nope, you're going to see there's a little bit more to that. All right, so we'll keep going. Second Baruch, between the 1st century to the 2nd century CE, says, for at that time I shall only protect those found in this land at that time. What land? Okay, so the land referred to is Israel. Okay, so it's not time for us to go yet. He's going to come down with his chariot or his flying saucer or something. He's going to wheel us away. Or he's going to set up a way to where the nations are going to bring you home, and he's going to protect you in the land. Okay? All right. Verse 3 says, and it will happen that when all that which should come to pass in these parts have been accomplished, the anointed one will begin to be revealed. Okay? So we'll see how that works later on as we see this anointed one. Everyone know who the anointed one is that believes in Mashiach, right? So everyone should be fine with that. Right? So, and it will happen at that time that the treasure of manna will come down again from on high, and they will eat of it in those years, because these are they who will have arrived at the consummation of time. So, according to Baruch, what's going to happen? We're going to have this manna again, all over again. Have you ever read that in the canon? You eat manna again. You ever heard that in the canon?
Yes, we have more in Exodus.
No. Again, yeah, we know that they did have it when they left out of Mitzrayim. The question is, will they be eating manna again when he comes back?
It's not.
Okay. All right. So let's look at two places here. Yeshayahu, Isaiah 26:19 says, your dead men shall live together with my dead bodies shall they arise. Awake and sing, you that dwell in the dust, for your dew is as the dew of herbs, and the earth shall cast out the dead. Then Revelation 2:17 says, and he that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the assemblies, or the called out ones. To him that overcome, I will give to eat of the hidden manna, and will give him a white stone, and in the stone a new name, written which no man knows, said he that receives it. Okay, so you see how we're comparing to see what's happening here between what's canon and what's happening in their day. Okay, all right, so we'll keep going. 30 verse 1 says, and it would happen at this time, at these things, when the time of the appearance of the anointed one has been fulfilled, and he returns with kabod or esteem, that then all who sleep in hope of him will rise. And that's what you can see also in chapter 48, verse 22 in that same book. All right. We went over this one last week, so we'll keep going. All right. The ascension of Isaiah, 1st century CE, says, and I asked the Malach, or the messenger, who was with me, and said, who is the one who prevented me, and who is this one who turned to me that I might go up? And he said to me, the one who prevented you, this is the one who is in charge of the praise of the sixth heaven. And the one who turned to you, this is your Adon, Adoni Ha-Adon Mashiach, or the Messiah, who is to be called in the world Yahusha. But you cannot hear his name until you have come up from this body. So what does that tell you? The highlighted part. All right, so for an example, in verse 5, you already see it says that the donor, the Mashiach, who was called on the earth, Yahushua. Now, does that name share with other people? Has other people had that same name that he had? Right. So that means his name is not a unique name. His name you can find out in the Torah and in Tanakh, like Joshua's name, and Zechariah. All right. So anyway, my point though is, but he says you cannot know this name until you have come up from this body. What is this body?
This body here.
Right. This corrupted body, this flesh. Remember, flesh and blood can't inherit. Right.
Would that be, as it was mentioned in the scripture, that he would be given a name that no man would know?
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. So you see that there's a parallel between this and Revelations, which we'll read. So Revelations, it says, him that overcomes, I will make a pillar in the temple of my Lord, or my Elohim, or my mighty one, and he shall go no more out, and I will write upon him the name of my Lord, my Elohim, and the name of the city of my Lord, which is the new Jerusalem or Jerusalem, which comes down out of Shamayim or from heaven, from my Lord, and I will write upon him my new name. So you see the connection, right? All right. So I'm just simply sharing that you guys can, when you start reading about these 1st century, 2nd century, 3rd century writings, you can find that this is an ongoing theme that you can do as you do your study. Okay? All right. 9:6 says, and he took me up in the 7th heaven, and there I saw a wonderful light, and also Melachim, or messengers, coming called angels without number. And there I saw all the righteous from the time of Adam onwards. And there I saw Chodesh Habel, or the set-apart Abel, you know, the Cain and Abel story. He said, all the righteous, and there I saw Hanuk, or Enoch, and all who were with him, stripped of their robes and of the flesh, and I saw them in their robes of above. And they were like the Melachim who stand therein in great Habod, or in great esteem. So, everyone's everything about that?
Yeah, Second Baruch talks about that.
Right, but outside of the Apocrypha writings, if you will, in the canon, has anyone read about this in the canon? Okay, no worries. So in Revelation 6:11 says, and the white robes were given unto every one of them, and it was said unto them that they should rest yet for a little season, until their fellow servants also and their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled. And then 7:9 says, after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and kindred and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hand. So there's more writings, but I didn't put on here concerning about how these robes look. But you can imagine these robes are like the Melachim. So what would a Melachim robe look like? It will be illuminated. It will be glowing, right? It has some light in it. And right now we're practicing in this flesh, being children of light. Is that because at some point you will be like light? Okay, all right. Just make sure. We'll keep going. So it says in 9:10, it says, but they were not sitting on their thrones, nor were there crowns of kabod on them. Okay, now, everyone's read about someone having crowns and thrones in Revelations? Okay, great. He says, and I asked the Malach who was with me, how is it that they have received these robes, but are not on their thrones, nor in their crowns? Now, so what's happening is there's transformation that took place, but it's still not time to get your throne and your crown. Okay, is everyone so far? All right. He says, and he said to me, they do not receive the crowns and thrones of gold or steam. Nevertheless, they do see and know who will be the throne and who's the crowns, until the beloved descends in the form in which you will see him descending. Adonai will indeed descend into the world in the last days, he who is to be called Mashiach, after he has descended and become like you in form, and they will think that he is flesh and man. Remember the way he went up, I told you how he's going to come back down to the book of Acts? All right. And then notice those that bodies have been changed. They haven't gotten their crowns yet because of why? There's still more to come. You see, I mean, it's going to be a ceremony, a wedding, a gathering. So he has to get everybody done. He's not, okay, thank you for coming. Let me give you yours. And oh, you just made it? No. That's provided if you make it. All right. And the Elohim of that world will stretch out his hand against the sun, and they will lay their hands upon him and hang him upon a tree, not knowing who he is. So everyone knows that Mashiach will happen going forward. Okay, great. All right. And thus his descent, as you will see, will be concealed even from the heavens, so that it will not be known who he is. And when he has plundered the Moloch of death, he will rise on the third day and will remain in that world for 545 days. And then many of the righteous will ascend with him, whose spirits do not receive their robes until Hamashiach ascends, and they ascend with him. Then indeed they will receive their robes and their thrones and their crowns when he has ascended into the seventh heaven. And I said to him what I had asked him in the third heaven. Show me how everything which is done in that world is known here. Like a lot of us ask questions. How's it going to be? What's it going to look like? How does that happen? Now, because it could be the same reason why he's asking, but why are we asking? Oh, we want to know how it looks. Y'all don't know why y'all ask? I just want to know, Father. I want to be nosy. To say what it is. I want to know how this is going to go down. Well, as long as I'm doing this, because technically, if you're doing what he says anyway, the end result is going to be the same, whether you know it or if you don't know it. Right? But since we're doing it, and some that partially doing it, right? I want to know how this goes down. And since he has a direct line in his vision, he said, hey, this is a perfect opportunity to ask questions. All right? All right, so let's see what's going on. And while I was still speaking to him, behold, one of the Melachim who were standing by, more kabod, more esteemed than that Malach who had brought me up from the world, showed me some books, but not like the books of this world. And he opened them, and the books had writing in them, but not like the books of this world. And they were given to me, and I read them, and behold, the deeds of the children of Yashrael, or Yisrael, or Israel, were written there, their deeds which you know, my son Yosef. Now, has anyone read in Revelation, you're going to be judged according to your deeds? Okay, and we also read about the books are open, which we're going to read in just a minute. As everyone sees that there's a lot of overlap, but it seems like where one book may stop, another book may pick up, and it seems like, this is working in harmony somehow within the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th century CE. Okay? All right. So he says, and I said, truly nothing which is done in this world is hidden in the 7th heaven. Nothing. Keep that in mind. And I saw many robes placed there, and many thrones, and many crowns. And I said to the Malach who led me, whose are these robes and thrones and crowns? And he said to me, as for these robes, there are many from that world who will receive them through believing in the word of that one who will be named as I have told you, and they will keep them and believe in them and believe in his state, coming across in their version. For them are these placed here. Now, I want to stop here because there seems to be a problem when you hear the Messiah tell you keep laws and commandments. And he's telling you, and you got to believe, and remember, he says, my words will do what? Judge you when? In the last days. So if he tells you to keep law and commandments, and then you go over it for those that have fully understanding of Shaul or Paul's writings, but Paul told me. Okay, but didn't Paul say such and such? Oh, he fulfilled it all. He nailed it to the cross. All right, but what's going to happen is the words that the Messiah said is he's going to judge you in the last days. Well, he had to keep the law because he didn't die yet. So therefore, if he'd have broke it, he'd have been a lawless one. So he had to keep the law because he had to fulfill all the law. And then once he does that, Now we're free from the law. He didn't abolish it, destroy it. We're just free from it to just love. Okay? Just love. You know, if I love you, I wouldn't do that to you anyway. Everyone see how this works, right? All right, so again, keep in mind that whatever the Mashiach said in the last days, that's what you'll be judged. You right in John chapter 12, starting about verse 48. But my point is that this is something that we have to consider, is that if he's coming down and he's doing the Father's will is, he's doing the Father's word, the law speaks of him, he can't talk about negatively about the very thing that talks about him, right? If it speaks about him, it talks about him, but you want to talk bad about it. He's not doing that. Why is everybody else traditionally that's doing this be a different story? But we'll see when we do our Christian series. All right. So the books are opened. Daniel 7:10. And fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousand ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. Revelations 20:12. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before Yahuwah. And the books, plural, were open. And another book was open, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books, according to what? It's not about works. You ain't got to do no works. It's all about the faith now. My faith is my works. See how this works? Something's wrong with this, right? So then he says, and 4 Ezra 6:20, he says, and when the seal is placed upon the age which is about to pass away, then I will show these signs. The books shall be opened before the firmament, and all shall see it together. Okay, 1 Enoch says, think not in your spirit, nor say in your heart, that you neither know nor see all our sins being written down every day in the presence of the Most High. Don't you think this? From now on, do know that all your injustices which you have committed unjustly are written down every day until the day of your judgment. Okay? All right. So think about it. All this stuff that we're thinking in our hearts and in our minds, that's negative. And then you go smiling at each other. Shalom. Shalom. Right. Now, mind you, you've been all nice on the outside, but you got something wrong with you on the inside. But you would never know it. I would never know it. But guess who does know it? Mind you, it will be written. So you can fool each other if you like. But there's one being that you will never fool. And so we have to start conditioning our minds, start repenting of things that we thought of each other now, in the past, whatever it is. Get it right. He said, hey, none of us are going to be able to say we couldn't get it right, because he's given us a lot of time to do that. And then if that wasn't enough, let me create feast days where I'm forcing you to go talk to each other. So there's no way that when you go, you have any excuse. The book is open. Yep, I know exactly what you did. Have a good day. Right? Remember this tone? What about that tone? What about this tone? Yeah. How many of us are waiting? How many of us have waited 10, 15, 20 atonements to get it right with somebody? Because I got time. Right? If it's not promised, then every day your daily bread is your everyday. Try every day. Don't worry about tomorrow. Before you close your eyes, think about it. Did I do well? Father, are you pleased with me? Every day. If not, I need to call that brother. I need to call that sister. I'm sorry. I don't know if this is extreme or not, because sometimes we just want to know. So I'm gonna give you an extreme moment. I'll use the brother. Sisters always get picked on, so I'll use brothers. All right, so you got a brother and you thought negative of him, and before you go to sleep, you call him and you say, hey brother, I just want to apologize. For what? I really don't want to tell you. I just want to let you know I had a bad thought and it wasn't right, and I just want to say I'm sorry and I would like you to forgive me. Now, question, how should that work? Right. How can he forgive something he has no clue about? Right? Just forgive me. Versus something that you might have thought bad, but you corrected it yourself. That's not something you need to go and say, hey man, I thought about shooting you last night, but don't you worry. You got me in check. I was gonna shoot you in your big toe. You would have been alive, but you definitely would have had a limp like Jacob or Jacob. But the point is that we have to think about, we got to start cleaning our mind, is what this is about. Cleansing your heart, having clean hands every day. Because when he says, I'm coming to someone without spot or wrinkle, what does that mean? He ain't talking about your clothes, you ironed it, right? Right? Spot or wrinkle, your mind, your heart. He wants that to be clean. So think about it when you go to sleep, before you pray. Man, was I pleasing to the Father that day? Did I treat my brother and my sister the way that they should be treated? Think. He's asking you to mature. You start maturing in your heart and in your mind. Okay. Eris, you had a question?
Shalom. Hola. Shalom. Hola.
Go ahead, Aki.
Okay, I just want to share something very, very fast. When this got me a little insight right now, when you was reading for Ezra, chapter 6, verse 20, when the seal is placed upon the edge, which is about to pass away, then I will show the signs. The book shall be open before the firmament. Mm-hmm. That part for me is very important because the Heavenly Father has allowed me to see a lot of stuff that when He allowed me some permission, I hope that we can share some stuff. But I know that I can share this. In April, days ago, I have a very live visions. I saw the beast, you know what I mean? I saw the beast with all the abomination, and there was light in the sky, like having a fire. The beast, the head of the beast was like a hand, like the Star Trek hand, all the hand signs that they are doing. And the beast has all the religion, Buddhist religion, Christian religion, all the religions of the world was in the body of this beast. Mm-hmm. But when I read, the book shall be open before the firmament, before the vision stopped, a huge light was coming out from the sky and covered almost the entire wall, and the 10 commandments appeared in heaven. Mm-hmm. All is the book that is going to be open before the firmament is my feeling is the Torah himself. You know what I mean? To judge the entire world. Mm-hmm. I saw the 10 commandments covering all the earth. That's what
Hallelujah. Okay. All right. Malachi 3:16. And he says, then they that feared Yahuwah spoke often one to another, and Yahuwah hearkened and heard it. And a book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared Yahuwah and thought upon his name. Okay, so I want you to see that these books are open. That's me. These books are open, and I want us to understand that we are being judged as we mature, as we grow, and we don't do the things we used to do. Right? We're growing, we're maturing. That these things are also being recorded. We call it your deeds. Right? So here it is. I've been a certain way last year or last month or whatever it is. But as we start to grow, we start to love one another. We're supposed to be loving one another. If I say, oh, wow, I can see that heart changed. That was good. If not, let me go in this book. He was on the door. Okay? So again, these things are recorded. You need a mic, he said? I didn't hear you.
Speak a little loud. Okay. Is the book of remembrance before the book of life?
Right, but all the books, the books are open.
So it's books.
Right, plural.
So anyone, they can write in at any time.
No. There are certain people in charge of the books.
Right.
Specifically, the Malachim is going to have certain things, and the book of life dealing with, as we would believe, as with the Mashiach, but the book of life, that those that believe in him, if you do not believe in him, you're sin. But the point is that, the books are open, And when they're open, you want to hear certain things. Yeah. That's my name. Now, I don't know, for those asking, may thought about this, I don't know if they're going to ask you from your government name, what's on your birth certificate. I don't know what it's going to be or the name you came up, but I do know you will have a new name. And if you don't make it in, it doesn't matter. You're going to have a hot name. Okay. We'll keep going. Mm-hmm.
This is why you're hot.
Uh-huh.
This is why you're hot.
Oh, yeah. Your name won't even be worth it at that point. All right. 1 Enoch 8:61 says, so he handed over those sheep to them. Now, the reason why, now we saw all the other things, us individually. This is talking about shepherds. Okay? So it says, so he handed over those sheep to them. Then calling another group of shepherds, he told them, take notice and see everything which the shepherds will do to those sheep. For they will destroy from among them a greater number than those which I have commanded them. Now, mind you, you notice it talks about a lot of people don't need to be shepherds and teachers and things like that. Because look what's happening. He says, you write down every what? Access. What does that mean? Every access. Right now. Every access. Okay. Everything that these shepherds are doing. Okay. And destruction that will be wrought through the shepherds. How many they destroy according to my command, and how many they will destroy of their own accord. Write down every destruction that each and every shepherd causes against their records. And read out loud before me each particular case. How many they destroy and how many they give over to destruction, so that this may become a witness for me against them, so that I may know all the deeds of the shepherds, and so that I may evaluate them and see what they do, whether they act according to my command, which I have commanded them, or not. If they do not know it, do not reveal it to them, neither admonish them, but write down every destruction caused by the shepherds for each and every one in his appointed time, and evaluate all of it to me. So you see, it's very important to say, Mashiach, he says, I'm going to leave the 99 and go get the one, right? Notice how good of a shepherd the Mashiach was, right? And he's showing you how much he's willing to go out and try to help the sheep and guide them and lead them. Now, I'm talking about wayward sheep. I'm just saying he's still doing his thing. But for those, don't even tell them they're doing it wrong. I got to just write it down. Yes, he did. He sure did do that. Write it down. And I'll talk to them when I see them. Right? So keep in mind, everybody has a record. Everybody has a record. Those that seem like they're in power, you got a record. Those that are sheep, you have a record. Everybody has a record, just so we understand. So be careful with the Father's word. Slow down a little bit.
Yeah, they're reckless.
So this is a lifetime record. So it seems like this is going to be a long process. I mean, you walk up maybe smiling, and then, you just gradually it turns to a frown maybe or something like that. Like we're going to stay, it's going to be more than an hour, I think.
But the beauty of it is you ain't got to worry about any ailments, how long you're standing. You have some good legs, some good spirits, or soul, your legs are going to feel fine. Your arms are going to feel, everything's going to feel good up until your name is not called. Then, here come the fight. I guarantee you, though, you're not going to win that fight with the Melachim. It's not going to happen.
Brother, I can share something. And there is a scripture that I put in the chat. This Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 8 says, suffer not your mouth to cause your flesh to sin. Neither say you before the Malach that it was a mistake.
That's right.
Everything is going to be recorded. Everything. So you know, when you were speaking right now, all this, I believe that every single person in here just got chills around the spine. You know, like tremble before with your mouth what you say. Be careful because this is very serious.
Absolutely. So we got to be careful. You know, don't abuse your authority, your power. And those that don't claim they don't have, you know, you still have the Father's Spirit. Don't be trying to lead other people astray or try to capitalize on them. I don't like you. This is not about you. You were made for one purpose. You weren't made technically for each other. You know, now don't get me wrong, those that are married, you get to enjoy each other, but when that day comes, that's separating. Because everything is a learning lesson. Whether you're single or whether you're married, there's still a learning curve of learning how that works between an individual or family with the Most High, or as a whole. I just want to know that we have to see each other, that the family that we're ultimately going to be married to is spiritual. It's a spiritual thing, right? So we got our heart, our minds together. We got to make sure that when I say heart and minds, I'm saying our thoughts. We got to get our thoughts under control. Sometimes it gets out of control. A person, I don't know about you guys in here, but has your friend, a brother, a sister, Ish, have they ever got you thinking in a way that wouldn't be pleasing to the Father?
Oh yeah.
Right? We all can say yes, right? Okay, but then what would you do about that? Okay, so pray, ask Father for forgiveness. Help? Okay. Okay. All right. So I want us to see as everyone said, pray, right? Ask the Father for some help. But also, you got to go to that person. When you go to that person, that is also healing for you, because it helps you to hear the other side. Sometimes you might have 99%, 80% of it right. The other 20% you miss because that's not either what they said or they were doing or something. So there's a part that you might have missed, and you've given even that part over to them, and you cause a bigger wedge than that was necessary. All right, so we'll keep going. I know it's none of us here. We're blessed. All right. All right, we'll keep going. And then the Malak who led me said to me, worship this one. And I worship and sang praises. And the Malak said to me, this is Ha'adon of all the praises which you have seen. And while I was still speaking, I saw another Chabod, or being, who was like him, and the righteous approached him and worshiped and sang praises, and I also sang praises with them. But this esteem, or this Chabod, was not transformed according to with their form. Excuse me. And then the Malakim approached and worshipped him. And I saw Ha'adon and the second Malak, and they were standing. And the second one of whom I saw was of the left of Adon. And I asked the Malak who led me, and I said to him, who is this one? And he said to me, worship him, for this is the Malak of the Kadush Ruach, or the set-apart spirit. Okay? He has spoken in you and also in other righteous. You remember the set-apart spirit? You ask him to lead and guide you to all truth. He tell you, don't blaspheme the Ruach, don't push the Ruach, because he has a job as well. Okay, he's the one that's bringing things back to your remembrance, putting things in your mouth. Sometimes, you try to figure out, you may not have known at the time, someone asks you a question, instantly you got an answer. How did you get that answer so fast? Was that just you because you're so good? Oh, okay. So think about it. He's bringing these things back. He's working in you. So while he's working his works, you need to be working your works. All right, we'll keep going. All right, and I saw the great Kabod, or the esteem, while the eyes of my spirit were open, but I could not thereafter see, nor the Malak who was with me, nor any of the Malakim whom I had seen worship Adonai, or the Most High, the Master, my Master. But I saw the righteous as they beheld with great power the esteem of that one. And Adonai approached me, and the Malak of the Spirit said, see how it has been given to you to see Yahuwah, and how because of your power has been given to the Malak who is with you. And I saw how Adonai and the Malak of the Chodesh Spirit, the set-apart Spirit, worship and both together and praise who? Yahuwah. And then all the righteous approached and worshiped. And the Melachim approached and worshiped, and all the Melachim sang praises. Okay, so there's a tier going on. So he's going from one step all the way down to find the Father getting all praise, all esteem, all honor due to the Father. All right. Second Ezra, or Ezra 470, 470 CE to 218 CE, roughly those are times for this particular writing. This for many miseries will affect those who inhabit the world in the last times, because they have walked in great pride. Now, how do you walk in great pride? Anyone? Okay. I know you're waiting on Gadar. I got you.
Slicha Mori.
Yeah.
To walk in great pride is to refuse the Most High, to be disobedient to Him, not giving Him the honor and esteem and respect that He deserves, to not believe that He is.
Okay.
When you puffed up, just feel like you're the man. You just
okay. So think about what pride means, right? If you know what pride is, you're walking in the very pride. That's walking in pride. It's not difficult, just straightforward. If you think you're the man or the woman, or you think you're this, and you walk in it like you own things. It's you. It's all about me right now. Did you see how I answered that question? Did you see how I can battle some of these brothers and some of these sisters? None of them could beat me. Oh, I didn't know that was your information. Right? So in other words, be thankful that the Father gave you His information, but He's asking you to be a good steward with His word. Right? All right. So he says, but think of your own case and inquire concerning the esteem of those who are like yourself. Because it is for you that paradise is open. The tree of life is planted. The age to come is prepared. Plenty is provided. A city is built. Rest is appointed. Goodness is established, and wisdom perfected beforehand. Okay? Imagine getting all of this when paradise is open. Right? So we're looking forward to this time period, but there's still some things we got to get our minds and our hearts together. We got to condition ourselves. The root of evil is sealed up from you. What is? Illness and banished from you. The death is hidden. Hell has fled, and corruption has been forgotten. Sorrows have passed away, and in the end, the treasures of immortality is made manifest. Now, when you think about these things, that's why you don't remember certain things anymore. Okay? Things are going to be changing. Right now, some of us got some illnesses, and some of us, have some things, some corruption. And remember, we talked about corruption, right? What's corruption? Okay, no worries. We'll go over it again. Okay. All right. Sorrows have passed away, and in the end, the treasures of immortality is made manifest. Therefore, do not ask any more questions about the multitude of those who perish. Stop asking about, well, what happened to great-great-grandma? What happened to my great? Well, what about those that didn't know? Why are you worried about something that's out of your control? Well, if the law is all about that, then Elohim is a just creator. Those that don't know Him, He with few stripes. That do know, we many stripes. But that is not for us to judge. But we always want to ask these questions. Stop asking the questions. For they also received freedom. But they despised the Most High and were contemptuous of His law and forsook His ways. So think about yourself. If that's what they did, they have a judgment from whatever they had. Remember the Torah to themselves. So whatever they understood at that time, they'll definitely be judged. But think about yourself. You, as the generations grew and start to learn, and we get a little bit more freedom to do our own little research. Now you're going to be held more because He's giving you more. Now these talents have grown. You're going to be held by what He's giving you. All right. Revelations 2:7 says, "He who has an ear, let him hear what their spirit of the Ruach says to the assemblies, to the one who conquers. I will grant to eat of the tree of life, which is in the paradise of Allah, or in the garden," right? There's paradise, just the Greek version here. 22:2 says, "Though the middle of the street of the city, also on either side of the river, the tree of life with the 12 kinds of fruit, yielding its fruit each month. The leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations." This is the healing that read about earlier. That's going to take place once you get inside the garden. "Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life and may enter in through the gate into the city." That's the King James Version. The ESV talks about those that wash their robes. Right? So again, there's an understanding that you have to do. What robe they're talking about washed? That washed their robes. What robe? So they went to Target, bought some robes, washed it, got all that. What robes are you talking about? Your flesh is a robe. Right? Remember we read it earlier. Your flesh is a robe. All right, so when we compare the text, we can see a constant theme happening within the 1st to the 7th century CE. I'm just sharing with you the parallels everyone should be picking up. All right? All right, we'll keep going. Ezra 8:57 says, "Moreover, they have even trampled upon his righteous ones and said in their hearts that there is no..." Any people said they said there is no Elohim? All right. "Though knowing full well that they must die. For just as the things which I have predicted await you, so the thirst and the torment which are prepared awaits them. For the Most High did not intend that men should be destroyed, but they themselves who were created have defiled the name of him who made them, and have been ungrateful to him who prepared life for them. Therefore, my judgment is now drawing near." How many of us know what he's done? Right? Take it for granted. You know, we initially may give him some praise. Did you see? I don't know how that $1,000 got to my account. I don't know where that check came from. Wow, I got this raise. Oh, I got this job. So you initially do that, and then all of a sudden, you go back. Right? You see, I'll leave it alone. Okay, we'll keep going. All right. Where we at here? 61. All right, so therefore my judgment is now near. "I have not shown this to all men, but only to you and a few like you. And I answered and said, Behold, O Lord, you have now shown me a multitude of the signs which you will do in the last times. But you have not shown me when you will do them." How many is asking that question? When is that going to happen? I need to know. I know you may not know. Maybe you might not know, but I'm just curious. Do you know? Right? Everyone's asking questions about this time. I wonder, does the Son of Man know? Even the Son of Man doesn't know. Okay, all right. But, all right. So he says, and he answered me and said, "Measure carefully in your mind. And when you see that a certain part of the predicted signs are past, then you will know that it is the very time when the Most High is about to visit the world which he had made. So when there shall appear in the world earthquakes, tumult of peoples," what else is happening here? "Intrigues of nations, wavering of leaders, confusion of princes, then you will know that it was of these that the Most High spoke from the days that were of old, from the beginning. For just as with everything that has occurred in the world, the beginning is evident and the end is manifest. So also are the times of the Most High. The beginnings are manifest and wonders and mighty works, and the end is requital in signs. And it shall be that everyone who will be saved and will be able to escape on account of his works or on account of the faith by which he has believed." Okay, so how are we doing so far? All right. He says, "Will survive the dangers that have been predicted and will see my salvation in my land." Where's salvation going to be? All right. So I'm glad we are in his land right now. Oh no, we're not.
Got the whole world.
Yeah. He said land. All right. So he said the land and within my borders. So people worry about what's happening over there. I don't go over there because it's like they're going to bomb me or this is going to happen. But yeah, he already told you I'm going to protect you when you're over there. Okay. So he says, which I have purified for myself from the beginning. This is what I picked. Now I'm talking about that little strip that they're calling it. There's a little bit more to that. Outside of the Jordan. Oh yeah. All right. So it says, and then those who have abused my ways. I want to do that. Then those who have now abused my ways shall be amazed, and those who have rejected them with contempt shall dwell in torments. For as many as not acknowledge me in their lifetime, although they receive my benefits. So you see what I mean? So you're worried about what other people are doing? Those that receive the benefits and still act crazy, as many as scorn my law. I ain't got to do that thing. What y'all talking about? My law, while they still had, but it's bondage. The law is bondage. You're not free. Okay. And did not understand, but despised it while an opportunity of repentance was still open to them. Why you got a chance? You need to get it right while we got a chance. These must in torment acknowledge it after death. So that's when it's what? Oh, Father, where's he at? Where's she at? I really need to go talk to him now. Yeah, I got you covered. Yeah. So it says, therefore, do not continue to be what? Stop being curious. I need to know this. Why? Are you trying to get yourself together just before that moment? I know that's not what they're doing.
I got everybody on speed.
It's almost there. It's almost there. Let me go ahead and do a Zoom conference call. Let me get everybody on the horn, right? Hey, I'm so sorry. For what? Hey, everything. Everything. Okay, I'm on my way out the door. Everything. All right. She said, so it said, do not continue to be curious as to how the wicked will be punished, but inquire how the righteous will be saved. Those to whom the age belongs and for whose sake the age was made. I made it for the righteous. Right? So if you're righteous and you're walking in righteousness, it was made for you. Stop being encouraged by other stuff. Okay? All right, any questions here? All right. It says, for there was a time in this age when I was preparing for those who now exist, before the world was made for them to dwell in, and no one opposed me then, for no one existed. So we're going to compare wisdom. Okay? Now, I encourage you to read this whole thing, but I'm just giving you some highlights here. He says, but now those who have been created, now mind out there before you were created, but now here comes the created ones in this world, which is supplied both with an unfailing table and exhaustible pasture, has become corrupt in their ways. Right? So before you guys was here, there was no corruption. The minute he make you and you start getting beside yourself, here comes the corruption. So that's why he has to give you laws to help you, keep you, reel you back in. Okay? All right. He says, so I considered my world, and behold, it was lost, and my earth, and behold, it was in peril, because the devices of those who had come into it. And I saw and spared some with great difficulty, and saved for myself one grape out of a cluster. Wow. And one plant out of a great forest. So let the multitude perish, which has been born in vain. But let my grape and my plant be saved, because with much labor I have perfected them. But if you will let 7 days more pass, do not fast during them forever. And it goes into more things. So again, we worry about what the Father's doing. A lot of us worry about his job. He says, don't you worry about what I'm doing. I already got everything set up. So before you came on the scene, I had already had a plan. So when you come in, you want to know my plans. I know everything before. I knew you before the world was, right? So he already had, as it says in Isaiah 46:10, the end from the beginning. So when we come in, we got to question him, the created. Okay. All right. All right. So what is corruption? Shakhat is the Hebrew word there, shakhat. To be destroyed, or to destroy something, to ruin something, to stain something, i.e. corruption. And then the walk. So remember a corrupted walk? Where they're derech, which means a way, a road, a journey, a manner, a work, or a walk. So I'll give an example here in Genesis 6:12. It says, and Elohim saw the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted their way on the earth. So the corruption is the same way of me saying something stains you. Someone caused a stain on you. That stain can also corrupt you. They went too far. All right. So here's some things to think about. Write down what you think is corrupting your walk. I'm asking, this is you guys doing. Okay. Who gave this corruption? Where did you get it from? When did you accept this as the way to walk? Why are you letting the corruption corrupt your path? How do you change the corruption? Okay. So now you all may say, well, I don't have the corruption, so I'm good. I want you to think about it. Corruption is in this world. So however it came in this world, how did it affect you? Now, you have overcame the corruption, right? But if you haven't, or you're still working on it, then you got to go back to the heart of why it did that. And then from there, get it fixed. And then you have essentially cleared out your whole vessel, if you will, because you went back to it, you learned it, studied it, you see how it caused you to do this, and you don't want to go back there again. Okay, is everyone good so far? All right. 9:24. Says, but go into a field of flowers. This is what he told the prophet to do. Go into a field of flowers where no house has been built, and eat only the flowers of the field. And taste no meat, and drink no wine, but eat only flowers. And pray to the Most High continually. Then I will come and talk with you. So I went as he directed me into the field, which is called Ardat. And there I sat among the flowers and ate of the plants of the field, and the nourishment they afforded satisfied me. And after 7 days, as I lay on the grass, my heart was troubled again as it was before. And my mouth was open, and I began to speak before the Most High and said, O Adonai, you showed yourself among us to our fathers in the wilderness, when they came out from Mitzrayim or Egypt, and when they came into an untrodden, unfruitful wilderness. And you said, hear me, O Israel, and give heed to my words, O descendants of Jacob or Jacob. For behold, I sow my law in you, and you shall be esteemed through it forever. Notice what he's looking for. He's looking for his law to be operating and working in you. Okay? He says, but though our fathers received the law, they did not keep it and did not observe the statutes. Yet the fruit of the law did not perish, for it could not, because it was yours. Yet those who received it perished, because they did not keep what had been sown in them. Now, these highlights is just to say that I really would encourage everyone to do a study on this. This is why they're highlighted. So, for example, think about the fruit of the law. What is the fruit of the law? Right? We know what fruit of the Spirit is. I'm asking you, what is the fruit of the law? Right? So I think you would want to know what it is. The other part is, it says, because they did not keep what they had been sown in them. Whatever was sown in you, how does someone get that out of you? You got to figure, how are they able to take control of you? Okay? Then it says, and behold, it is the rule that when the ground has received seed, or the sea a ship, or any dish, food, or drink, and when it happened that what was sown, or what was launched, or what was put in is destroyed, they are destroyed. But the things that held them remain, yet with us it has not been so. For we who have received the law and sin will perish, as well as our heart which received it. The law, however, does not perish, but remains in its esteem, or its chabod. Okay? So either you're on board with his law, statutes, commandments, or you're not. But when he comes looking for you and you see the blood of the Mashiach, he sees his law, statutes, commandments operating as one, and then we're operating as one together, rest assured you'll be fine. But if you're not taking the time to figure out what the fruit of the law is, how someone took something that was sown into you, and they're somehow able to change you or remove that from you, if you're not receiving the law, you're going to see that you will perish. And specifically as well, our hearts, which received it, when you put your whole heart into something, you believe in it. Is that fair to say? When you put your whole heart in something, you believe it. Can you put your whole heart in his law and believe it and then walk it out? Okay, so just keep that in mind. We'll keep going. After this, I saw the same man come down from the mountain, and I called to him another multitude which was peaceable. Then many people came to him, some of whom were joyful and some sorrowful. Some of them were bound, and some were bringing others as offerings. Then in great fear I besought the Most High and said, from the beginning you have shown your servant these wonders, and have deemed me worthy to have my prayer heard by you. Now show me also the interpretation of this dream, for as I consider it in my mind, woe to those who will survive in those days, and still more woe to those who do not survive. For those who do not survive will be sorrowful, because they understand what is in store for the last days, but not attaining it. But woe also to those who survive. For this reason they shall see great dangers and much distress, as these dreams show. All right, so this dream, I want you to, on your own time, if you want to read about it, but it's going to help you start seeing some times. Remember, other relations of the robe, these are different time periods. These are all not at the same time. Okay, we'll see. I'll give an example in a minute. All right, it says, yet it is better to come into these things, though incurring peril, than to pass from the world like a cloud and not see what shall happen in the last days. He answered me and said, I will tell you the interpretation of the vision, and I will also explain to you the things which you have mentioned. As for what you said about those who are left, this is the interpretation. He who brings the pearl at that time will himself protect those who fall into pearl, who have works and have faith in the Almighty. Understand, therefore, that those who are left are more blessed than those who have died. This is the interpretation of the vision. As for your seeing a man come up from the heart of the sea, this is he whom the Most High has been keeping for many ages, who will himself deliver his creation, and he will direct those who are left. Who do you think that is? Okay? You shout, good. And as for your seeing wind and fire and a storm coming out of his mouth, and as for his mouth holding spear or weapon of war, yet destroying the unrushing multitude which came to conquer him, this is the interpretation. Behold, the days are coming when the Most High will deliver those who are on the earth. And bewilderment, now mind you, look how this happens. Remember, they're not going to have an army, Israel. They're not going to have an army. They're not going to have nothing to defend themselves. So he's going to show you an example of how this is going to take place. A bewilderment of mind shall come over those who dwell on the earth, and they shall plan to make war against one another. City against city, place against place, people against people, and kingdom against kingdom. And when these things come to pass, and the signs occur which I showed you before, then my son will be revealed, whom you saw as a man coming up from the sea. And when all the nations hear his voice, every man shall leave his own land and the warfare that they have against one another. So I want to think about the two time periods in here. Did anyone see it? Okay. All right, so first we all understand the bewilderment portion. Bewilderment basically is the Most High is going to cause this confusion in them, among them, and not among his people, among them, and they're going to be fighting. Meanwhile, they're doing all this fighting. What's Israel doing? Sitting back laughing and eating some hummus? Right? He's up there gathering his people. He's bringing them, he's protecting them in the land while they're all fighting against one another. Okay? And then later on, you're going to see that after that, all the nations, remember in Zechariah chapter 14, all nations come up year to year, Feast of Tabernacle. There's another gathering. So first I got to get my people together first. And while I'm doing this, they're going to be so worried about themselves and everything like this. And he's going to put this bewilderment going while he's doing something for his people. And then later comes a greater multitude. Okay, is everyone with me so far? All right. He says, an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together as you saw, desiring to come and conquer him. But he will stand on the top of the Mount Zion. And Zion will come and be made manifest to some people. And, oh, wait a minute. You sure it's all people?
All people.
Okay. So you remember Revelations, which we'll read. Who was going to be at Mount Zion? The 144,000 and of the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, so let's see in a little bit. So I want you to see that when I say there's two types of gatherings, you're going to see. He said, and this in Zion will come and be made manifest to all people, prepared and built, as you saw the mountain carved out without hands. And see, my son will reprove the assembled nations for their wickedness. This was symbolized by the storm, and will reproach them to their face with their evil thoughts and with torment with which they are to be tortured, which were symbolized by the flames. And he will destroy them without effort by the law, which was symbolized by fire. Wait a minute. What was symbolized by fire? The law that's done away with? Okay. So I want you to see that there's so many things in here. That you guys can do a nice study for it and kind of pull out some things from other places in the canon. But anyway, 39 says, and as for your seeing him gather to himself another multitude that was peaceable. Another multitude is going to be gathered? Okay. These are the 10 tribes which were led away from their own land into captivity in the days of King Hoshea, whom Shemessar, the king of Assyria, or Assyrians, led captive. He took them across the river, and they were taken into another land. So I put on here just really fast about who's going to be in Zion. Right? Everyone's familiar with Revelation 14:1. Okay, and I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on Zion, and him and 144,000 having the Father's name on their forehead. And as you keep reading, you'll talk about the 12 tribes of Israel. All right. He says, but they formed this plan, meaning the 10 lost tribes. They formed this plan for themselves that they would leave the multitude of the nations and go to a more distant region where mankind had never lived. So who did that? The northern tribe. So you know where they're going. On the other side, if you look at a map, where's that other side? Okay, keep that in mind. He says, a distant region mankind had never lived, that there at least they might keep their statutes which they had not kept in their own land. I wonder if there was any laws or commandments found in other lands. Maybe? Okay. And they went in by the narrow passages of the Euphrates River, for at that time the Most High performed signs for them and spotted the channels of the river until they had passed over. So you can see where they were heading, if you follow the channels, if you will. And so through the region, there was a long way to go, a journey of a year and a half. That country is called Azeroth. Okay? Then they dwelt there until the last times, and now when they are about to come again, The Most High will stop the channels of the rivers again so that they may be able to pass over. Therefore you saw the multitude gathered together in peace. So I put on here Isaiah 11:15 says, Yahuwah will utterly destroy the tongues of the sea of Mitzrayim or Egypt, and will wave his hand over the river with a scorching breath and strike into how many channels? 7 channels. And he will lead people across the sandals. Anyway. But those who are left of your people, who are found within my set-apart borders, shall be saved. They're where? In his. Where's his set-apart borders? Okay, so again, when you start hearing stuff about don't you go, you can't go, you know, he's going to protect you. He's already made a place for this. Therefore, when he destroyed the multitudes of the nations so that are gathered together, he will defend the people who remain. And when he will show them very many wonders. Oh, I can speed up, huh? Okay. This then will be the sign. When horror seizes the inhabitants of the earth and they fall into many tribulations, and further they fall into great torments. And it will happen that they will say in their thoughts, because of their great tribulations, the mighty one does not anymore remember the earth. It will happen when they lose hope that the time will awake. How is, it's not going to be on our time. Or, you start to fall away. Well, why would the Elohim that we love, and he's like this, and he's allowing all this stuff to happen, and, let me go change. He's okay. At that time, he'll awake. And I answered and said, that tribulation which will be, will it last a long time? And that distress, will it embrace many years? And he answered and said to me, that time will be divided into 12 parts. And each part has been preserved for that for which is appointed. And the first part, the beginning of the commotions. And the second part, the slaughterings of the great. And the third part, the fall of many into death. And the fourth part, the drawing of the sword. And the fifth part, famine and the withholding of rain. And the sixth part, earthquakes and terrors. And the eighth part, a multitude of spirits and the appearance of demons. And the 10th part, the 9th part, the fall of fire. And the 10th part, rape and much violence. And the 11th part, injustice and unchastity. And the 12th part, disorder and mixture of all that has been before. These parts are that time will be preserved and will be mixed one with another, and they will minister to each other. For some of these parts will withhold a part of themselves and take from others, and will accomplish that which belongs to them and to others. Hence, those who live on earth in those days will not understand that it is the end of times. Okay? So I wonder if any of these things are happening. Okay? But keep this in mind, as Daniel says, the books are open, right? Wisdom will start to increase. We'll start to understand. These people start to learn this in the latter days. All right, so I'll close with this. Historical findings. In Egypt, the Gospel of Peter, the Apocalypse of Peter, were found in Akim alongside 1 Enoch 32, the Book of Watchers. The part in the Book of Enoch that is talked about was the description of visiting the place of the punishment, of the souls and things like that. But anyway, also chapters 106, meaning Enoch, chapter 106 to 108, and this was actually found together in Egypt, meaning Peter's books and Enoch together was found together when they unearthed it. So I was going to go into a lot of similarities of what Peter was saying about the souls and what it says in Enoch, but it would be out of the scope of the lesson. So I figure you guys can do that on your own and have a good time with that. Okay. Any questions? Oh yeah, I got the book.
Yeah, the question I have is just when you was on Esdras 1340, when those 10 tribes went to a land to keep the commandments. Is that place America?
Oh, okay. So
Azareth?
Yeah, Azareth is Azareth, but it also goes further into the other side. So God says in modern America, yeah, you'll see that it's a lot of places. Before we consider America, let's just say, that's what I was asking, have you guys found places where they found the commandments? Like in Mexico, parts of Brazil, America. And it was said in what's that book called by Ronald Sanders, where they are sharing that Zebulon had came over to this side of the earth and things like that. So, but that would be, maybe doing a historical track, if you will, of those things. But yeah, they definitely went way on the other side. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. But on ships, they went through channels and everything as well. Mm-hmm. Oh, someone? Malakim? Okay.
Hello?
Shalom.
Okay, it's my first time using this over the intercom. Aki, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Aki.
Okay, shalom to everybody. I got a question. I was puzzled when you said the books would be open and everybody would be judged, like for the atonement and whatnot. So I'm trying to find out, how should we judge each other? If a brother or a sister do something that, like, disrespect a vision of a person, how should we take that?
You go to that brother first. So if someone disrespects you, the first line of business, you go to your brother. Okay, and hopefully that will resolve it. But if it don't, then what do? You take 2 or 3 witnesses. If that don't resolve it, what's the next step? Take it to the assembly. So there's steps for that. But the very first step, if you're just asking for the first step, is you go to that brother or that sister. After that, if it didn't resolve it, then you take 2 or 3 witnesses and then see if that matter working and so on.
So I'm just curious because as you read, you said the books will be open, every thought will be written out. So some things I see, I'm just speaking from personal examples or whatnot. I seen some brothers fruit and it made me want to do something to them to get them correct. Like, would I be guilty of that?
No. So if you're saying that get correct, it depends on what your definition of correcting them for.
Rebuke, like I wanted to give them stripes. I wanted to hurt them.
Oh, okay. Well, if you were in the land, absolutely, you can do what you want. If you do it here, you have a prison ministry.
Okay, so that it will still be written on the book.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Right. Everything's gonna be it's written because again, now once you've done something, you have repentance. Remember, he said those that sin, he'll blot out. So once you get it right, then that's not what he's referring to. He's talking about those things that we do that we don't go back with one another, we don't get it fixed, we don't get corrected, and we just keep going with it. Those are things that they're going to be referring to.
I just want to find out how should I react, because I see a lot of things like this.
Okay, no problem. Okay, cool. Eris and then Julian. Okay. Eris, you had a question, Aki? You gotta unmute your mic if I don't know if you're talking or not.
I prefer that Julian go first.
Okay.
Okay, I just have one question. Are Christians our brothers and sisters? Do they believe what we believe? So should we deal with them the same way?
The Christians?
Yes.
Okay, so it depends what type of Christian, meaning that there are some Christians that are growing, that are learning, and they want to know the truth. And so we definitely should, because we're trying to be a light to all nations. So being a light to them and sharing them the word in hopes that they get it is the way we should do it. I think some problems with that for some people is sometimes we give them way too much, and it causes all kinds of problems, or we formulate it in a way of a debate or trying to prove them wrong, and that's not the Father's objective. His love kindness as he drawn me, so if he draw us that way, then we got to do it the same way. So sure, I would talk to them. To do, and share with them, the Father's word and why we do what we do. And if they don't agree, they say, well, show me where in Scripture where you're not supposed to do these things. And then we kind of have like a little slight dialogue.
Toda.
Okay, Harris, you think you can handle it in 60 seconds?
Okay, I'm gonna try to remove that for me. For the brother that made that a little introduction before, the brother Michael Valia, I don't remember the name.
I got you.
When you try to go into your brother, try to go with a mid heart, because even if you are right, it's very easy to let the pride go when you are right about something. So let this person know that he's wrong about something, but always letting that the scripture speaks for themselves, because we need to address our situation with the scriptures. And even you need to understand that even when you go to correct somebody, you also going to be correct for how you handle the stuff. So try to be meek with the situation, because it can be very bad if things go bad.
Okay. Yeah. He said, hey, I'm coming in with guns blazing.
Okay, this may be completely out of the scope of the lesson.
It's not.
No, it's in the lesson.
Oh,
I'm saying
okay.
The answer may be out of the scope of the lesson.
Okay.
We know in scripture where it says it's like 1,000 years, and earlier in the lesson you had brought up a point. I think it was in the Ascension of Isaiah, or one of them, where it said that Hamashiach would enter into that world for 540 some days. Could we potentially take that to mean like 540 some thousand years?
No.
Okay.
It's not prophetic days.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so the Aboriginal Hebrew was asking, how would you handle an instance where you believe in the Mashiach with a brother and he starts to not believe in the Mashiach anymore, even after talking to him about it with scripts to prove yourself?
Okay, well, if he's showing scriptures and he's proving it, and the brother, I guess I say in layman's terms, if he's proving it through the scripture, I guess the question probably is, does that brother see that as scripture? A. Because if he doesn't see that as scripture, then it's not going to be relevant to him. Like, for an example, if you show him something in Matthew to Revelations, and if someone don't believe that, in those books, then you say, I see the Tanakh, or something like that. That's A. B is, if he's using the Tanakh, but because his specific name is not mentioned, it creates a problem for some people, because my name is not mentioned. But that's when you read like a lot of the writings where it says Dead Sea Scrolls, Enoch, a lot of them share with you, there's a reason why he hid his name. You're not going to sit there, but anyway, that'll be another topic. So the point is that, but once you've done that, it says, my sheep hears my voice. At the end of the day, that if he did believe and he stopped believing, somehow he's gotten that information from somebody that caused him to go the other way. And whatever that person gave him, I would say, hey, well, share with me, what did that person share with you to cause you to go down this road? And see if it lines up and go from there. Okay. All right. If all hearts and minds is clear, we'll close and then we'll switch on over to our Hebrew class.
Hallelujah. Abba Yah, we give you praise, honor, and esteem for another day of gathering, another day to be amongst the Mishpachah. Abba Yahuwah, we give you the thanks, the praise, the honor for the opportunity to hear the lesson, Abba Yahuwah, with ears to hear, Father, and with also the Ruach to be able to do what we hear and walk these things out, Father, that we're learning, and do it according to your will, Abba Yahuwah. We give you praise for that, Father. We give you praise, Father, even for the food that we're about to partake of, Abba Yahuwah. We give you all the praise for just bringing us here safely, Abba Yahuwah. We thank you, Abba Yahuwah. Toda Ribah, Abba Yahuwah. For all the love that we have received, Father, we give you the praise, the honor, and esteem for that as well, Abba Yahuwah. For the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach, most of all, Father, we give you the praise for that. And we ask, Abba Yahuwah, that you would, as you take us home, Father, as you protect us, those that are here, Father, in VA, and those that are traveling abroad, Abba Yahuwah, we give you the praise for protecting us and keeping us and giving us safe travel, giving your Malakim charge over us as we go back to our respective places. Father, we thank you for those things that you do for us and that you continue to do for us, Father, throughout the days and these last hours, Father, that we are abiding on the earth. We thank you for it, Father. In Yahushua's name, we give you the praise for all that you do. Hallelujah. Amen.